Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
This is Bloomberg Businessweek with Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
Well, Academy Award-winning producer Cathy Schulman has been producing and making movies for decades. Among her films, The Woman King, 5 Feet Apart, Crash, The Edge of 17, a fave of our producer Elizabeth's, by the way, Bad Moms, many, many more. She's former head of production for STX Entertainment, former president of Artist Production Group, where she oversaw multiple films, including Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York, also former president of Mandalay Pictures, more recently a showrunner, the showrunner and executive producer of the Showtime series The First Lady, Season 1. She is president and CEO of Welle Entertainment. It's a film and TV production company. They focus on producing content that appeals to diverse audiences with an emphasis on women and girls. She teaches. Her latest movie, Idea of You, starring Anne Hathaway, made its debut at the South by Southwest Film Festival this year, opens widely through Amazon tomorrow, and the trailer on YouTube, already 11 million views, Tim.
Yeah, needless to say, she understands the movie industry and content creation on so many levels. Cathy Schulman joins us now on the phone in Los Angeles. And we're just guessing, Cathy, but are you already working on your next thing?
Of course I am. It takes such a long time. It takes such a long time to get it done that we always have to be like a couple of years ahead of ourselves. But it's so exciting to be on the eve of, of the Idea of You finally, dropping on Amazon.
Well, how long did this take from just idea, no pun intended there, to actually premiering tomorrow?
It took 6 years.
Wow.
I first read the book in 2018. And, it's always such a long journey. And, I think it's so important when you're picking your projects, as a producer, to find those things that you're not going to get bored of, because it's quite an epic journey each time.
Well, tell us a little bit about how it all came together. I mean, I'm thinking Hayes Campbell, the actor, is that supposed to be like a Harry Styles? I love the May-December relationship and the flip on that with the woman being older. There's just a lot of moving pieces to this that make it fun. And Anne Hathaway, how that all came together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Gabrielle Union, the actress, actually handed me the book, which had become, a bit of an internet sensation, during the pandemic. And, it's very romantic and very sexy. And I think that people were probably needing quite a lot of that during the pandemic or something. And I read it. And I was taken by it, particularly because I had been looking to do a romantic comedy that had a new sort of angle, a new kind of twist. And in this particular story, the character, her name is Solène Marchand, was not deciding between two men, which is the norm. She was basically deciding between different versions of happiness. And I was sort of taken by the notion that, either way would have been okay. On the one hand, she had been through a family, she's had a husband, she has a child, she's successful in her career, and she's ready to go, self-actualize in a yurt, which sounded okay to me. And then the other version is she can fall in love with a 24-year-old rock star, which also sounded kind of really fun. And I just like the idea that it would be her own agency and that she could decide what happiness would look like for her. And I developed the script in-house at my company, Well, and when we had a screenplay that was, ready to be seen, I sent it to Anne and got really lucky that the thing that never happens happened, which is, my first idea, my hope was, that she would do it. And she said yes. And, she was really excited to do a movie. I knew this, that she had told me that she wanted to do a movie in her 40th year that could celebrate loudly that she was 40 and that she was still able to light up a room, which I think we all like to feel. So then Annie got involved, and from Annie we sold it to Amazon, and they became, our champions and our financiers. And once we were at Amazon, we brought the project to Michael Showalter, who's a terrifically talented director, and I guess the rest is history.
So cool. And of course, you're talking about Anne Hathaway. I mean, you do a lot of rom-coms. Is it because you like them? You see a gap in the market? What is it?
I like this thing I think I've been calling a rom-com dram, to be honest.
Nice.
I like this sort of mixture of romance, comedy, and drama that sort of reminds me of the reality of life, and I just like to try to take it from an angle that isn't obvious, whether it's a younger woman or an outsider or, in this case, a woman trying to figure out what happiness means. And yeah, I really like it. It's been really hard to get these kinds of movies made in the marketplace. There's sort of been this lack of them, for a number of years, and I think they may be coming back with a vengeance. We're seeing that pattern in the marketplace now.
Hey, speaking of the marketplace, I mean, a lot has changed when it comes to distribution. How would, 20 years ago, you react to selling a movie to Amazon? Just even thinking about that.
Oh my God, it would have been absolute sacrilege. It's like I couldn't even believe, 20 years ago, there was big, demarcations between film and television. There's a big demarcation between movies that went theatrical versus straight to video. The idea that something would just stream and that people would watch it on their phones and on small screens would have been completely, antithetical to what we do as filmmakers. So, yeah, there's been a huge amount of change, some for the better and probably some for the worse.
Have you accepted it that people might not watch this on the biggest screen in their house?
I wouldn't say I've accepted it. I wish I could say I would. I think I would say that I don't think that we as filmmakers will ever really kind of get over the joy of, having our content seen in quiet, in a group experience, on a big screen, in a dark room, and it still remains most of our preference, and certainly is mine. I'm really enjoying this particular journey with Amazon because they're marketing the movie in a way broader way and outside their own, beyond their own sort of channels, their own digital channels. And this may be the wave of the future that allows us to feel the sort of sense that a happening is happening versus just what I've experienced in the past with other, digital distribution situations where I'm like, oh, did the movie come out today? I wouldn't know. That's really terrifying after all these years of work. But, so we're still adjusting to this, but I don't think it's going back. I mean, I think this is the way we're going to see most of our content now.
Yeah, it's different. Well, we were thinking about, in our setup to you or thinking about our conversation today in our planning meeting this morning, it's, there are lots of avenues streaming, right? Which has been great for people who create movies and films and all kinds of content. There's lots of financial interest. There are strikes. There's generative AI. We're still trying to figure out kind of what's next. Is it still fun for you? Like life on a set and putting something together? Is it still fun?
It really is. The part you just mentioned is always fun, which is actually making the content. The business is rather harrowing at the moment. So, there's these long periods where you're sort of trying to get the project, accepted, trying to get it sold, getting somebody to be its champion, being noisier than the next, 8,000 people with a script under their arm, fitting into narrowed slots with conglomeratized companies that are pulling back, not forward on content. That whole part is exhausting and particularly tricky, I think, for producers because, it's a very entrepreneurial kind of a game, and we used to experience long periods of lows for momentary periods of highs that were accompanied by back-end participation and, sharing in success, and that doesn't exist anymore. So the business aspects of it are not particularly good. I think at the moment, they're bound to get better when too much bad content will make, studios and streamers turn back to the thing itself. Yeah. But the creative process is always an utter joy and kind of what I live for. And I guess why I just keep doing this crazy thing, banging my head against the wall.
We're speaking right now with Academy Award-winning producer Cathy Schulman. She's president and CEO of Welle Entertainment. It's a film and TV production company with a focus to produce content that appeals to diverse audiences. Her latest movie, Idea of You, stars Anne Hathaway, and it made its debut at South by Southwest, and it opens wide through Amazon tomorrow.
Cathy, one of the things, as you say, I feel like that way with us, we walk in the studio and that's the fun part. It's all the other stuff leading up to it that can be frustrating and tough. Having said that, you produced recently The Woman King, Viola Davis, Sony TriStar, grossed over 100 million globally. I hope I have the right amount. The director on the movie talked about having a hard time getting her movies funded. She was a proven director. You are a proven entity in this industry. You've got a seat at the table. You're in the room where it happens. Why is it still so hard, though, it seems like, for women to get funding for their projects in Hollywood?
That's such a good question. And, having been involved in a lot of research around this, through the more philanthropic work that I do, with Women in Film and with Reframe and,
right.
With Stacey Smith and Annenberg and all this, we just continue to see these trends where, those people who control purse strings or control finances are less likely to put money in the hands of women. It seems that, research has revealed the why. It just doesn't make any sense. Things along the lines of, women are too busy multitasking to take care of the money. Well, that's insane. I mean, think about it. If men were so good at, multitasking, then all their movies would be a success. So that makes no sense. Or, women, aren't as good with money. Well, we've been managing money and, even in the household since the dawn of time. Or, women don't know what men want. Well, that's ridiculous because the majority marketplace is women, and women, buy the majority of film, television, and streaming. And frankly, women buy more than men of everything, including cars and technology and everything else. In fact, we shop a lot, in case anyone hasn't noticed. So, I think that the reasons that end up being researched are really kind of mythic and false, and that we're really dealing with bias.
Well,
it still has to be, removed.
Yeah. It's interesting. Well, you referenced, you've been in the industry. You've also looked at the industry in an advocacy role. As you mentioned, you're president of Women in Film for more than a decade. Just got about a minute left here. What are the things that you feel like you've done or helped to get done to help reduce that disparity between men and women in this industry? What moves the needle?
Well,
yeah.
I think that, we've been really successful in starting to create a pipeline. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
That, that for these, decision-making jobs or gatekeeper jobs, writer, director, producer, cinematographer, editor, executive, pipeline is crucial. And I do think we've done that. There's been a huge education campaign, and we have made progress, and we have moved the numbers. Where we still have a lot of work to do, is probably from the top down. We've made some progress in bringing more women around decision-making tables, which definitely affects what content is chosen.
Right.
But there's still a way to go.
All right. So appreciate it. So much fun. Cathy Schulman, President and CEO of Welle Entertainment, Academy Award-winning producer. Idea of You opening wide through Amazon on May 2nd. Thanks so much.